Yo guys, it's slyroh. You already know that today we are back reading some more Danganronpa Zero. Today we are going to be reading Chapter 5 of Volume 2. I'm really excited to continue on reading this because as of this recording, I have finished watching the Danganronpa 3 anime, which means that as soon as we are done with this, I can go ahead and start playing Danganronpa V3. So I will hold off on all of my thoughts until a separate video about the Danganronpa 3 anime, but any information that comes up in this that I can relate to that, I can, or I at least have knowledge of it, so there is that. But let's go ahead and hop into Chapter 5, because I do think that this is going to be a pretty lengthy chapter. Also, from this point on, I don't know if the chapters are actually super accurately marked or not, because like I said, after Chapter 7, it doesn't look like anything's marked. So I have a feeling that maybe some of the chapters are combined from multiple actual chapters. I don't know how anything is labeled on this, but as it is labeled in the document that I have, we're going to read Chapter 5. So let's go ahead and get right on into it. Chapter 5 in one of the East District cafeterias. Its de facto name is the third school cafeteria, although there are several cafeterias scattered throughout the campus. This is the most popular by far, apparently. During noon, it's filled not only with students, but also teaching staff lined up in a queue. It seems the secret behind the popularity of this cafeteria is a student they call Super High School Level Cook, who boasts of his own unique recipe. His food isn't governed by genre or common sense, and I hear it's so addictive you can't help but feel it must contain drugs. But come to think of it, it doesn't really matter since I've forgotten how addictive it is. Well, in any case, even now the student cafeteria is filled with students, so there wasn't a single seat available. Someone like me standing by myself, this atmosphere was anything but comfortable. I'm here too, you know. Did you hear me? I told you, I'm the super high school level agent from the 77th batch, Kamishiro Yuto. Our favorite person! Come on, how many times do I have to introduce myself? Kamishiro-kun, said as he made a crotchety with his arms in front of me. Damn it, seems like we have bad chemistry. I was praying, to God a lot that we'd be a good combination. Too bad. What kind of God were you praying to? In any case, seems Kamishiro-kun and I certainly do have bad chemistry. Forgettable Kamishiro-kun and forgetful me. He was holding what looked to be a mixture of pale cow piss and water. Well, whatever. What's more important is starting our conversation. Right, we can do that, but I looked around at the students bustling through the cafeteria. Why come here of all places? Kamishiro-kun waved a short finger in front of me with a tisk tisk tisk. Bad taste to answer such a question to an outsider. If anything, this is the perfect place for it. If we talked about this in a place with only a few people, someone would be able to overhear us easily. It's a theory I have that we should hide like we're extras in an adult video. Okay, so what you're saying is if we need to talk about something important, we should pretend we're having a normal chat. What I'm saying is it'd be lonely if I was here by myself. The casual conversation was buried in the sound of the hustle and bustle around us. See, no one cares about our conversation, do they? Kamishiro-kun had a huge grin on his face like he had just committed some fantastic prank. He then moved on to the main topic. There's a reason why I want to talk to you as soon as possible. Did anyone go to your room this morning, Big Sis? Did they? It's fine if you've forgotten, just check in your notebook. Surprised, I did as I was told and took out Ryoko Tanashi's memory notebook and looked through it. I remember. In no time at all, I couldn't help but yell out as I remembered. I remember, I know, it was Junko Enoshima, that girl that suddenly came into my room. Huh? Kamishiro suddenly leaned forward. So then, that person really was Junko Enoshima. I knew it, yep. Seems like the wiretap I put in your room worked perfectly. Huh? What? Say, Kamishiro-kun, what? What did you say just now? Did you say a wiretap? Yeah, I said that. I said wiretap. What about it? A wiretap? Yeah, it's a common machine used for eavesdropping. I'm not sure about the legality of it, but I mean, he doesn't seem to mind it. I quickly stood from my chair. How is that normal? I screamed at the top of my lungs. Normal common people don't use those machines. Kamishiro-kun's face was as calm as ever. Let's not rant on about the wiretap. It was crime prevention. Wiretaps aren't just used to prevent crimes. Ah, so you noticed. Clap, clap, clap. As he verbally applauded me, he took out a giant paper bag from under his chair. The boy immediately shoved his hand into the bag and pulled out a sweet bread. Ah, sugar twist donut. As he cheered out by himself, he happily crammed it in his mouth. That's a little rude. Oh, I have no idea what you just said. Kamishiro-kun swallowed down the sweet bread that had just been stuffed into his mouth. I said I don't want you to misunderstand me. I didn't just wiretap you, big sis. In a broader sense of speaking, I guess I wiretapped around this many people? Kamishiro-kun held up all of his fingers. 10 people? He shook his head. 100 people. 100 people? Each finger was to signify a unit of 10 people. You can sit 100 people in a Naba Monoki shed no problem. It seems to be a Japanese storage company. Kamishiro just recited their catchphrase. Okay. I was stunned at the unexpected amount of people he counted. He continued to explain the reason why. The reason is I rotate between girls a lot, basically. That way I can have fun with you when best suits you with the time of the month. I guess that's why I like heavy rotation so much. He puffed out his chest. No, that doesn't matter. In any case, how did you manage to wiretap 100 people's rooms? It's easy with my ability. Sneaking into places like girls' toilets or their dressing room is a piece of cake. Oh, why does the worst person have an ability like this? Do something else with that piece of cake. Making it nice and creamy with extra cream. This is all pretty confusing in English, but he says doing things before breakfast in Japanese, which is like saying it's a piece of cake. So Itonashi tells him to do something else before breakfast. He then says something is growing, but I've heard the word he said can be used for ejaculation. Alright, I think this is just like a translator's note trying to explain what is happening here. It's already getting out of hand. The hand, the leg, the head, the back, is getting out of everything. Let bygones be bygones. The boy wiped away his problems with a simple smile and started talking about a different subject. When you big sisters are in a room, you sure are noisy, aren't you? Because of that, I could barely hear any of the conversation. So why did Junko and Ishima come visit you? She said because she had an errand for you to run, didn't she? As he said that, he took out another sweetbread. Oh, a cub's paw made in Germany. Looked like he was tasting a rare delicacy as he munched on it. Well that's... My eyes dropped down to my notebook as I answered him. It seems she came to give me a hint. A hint? I flipped through my notebook. Junko and Ishima's purpose. Kamishiro-kun looked surprised at my words. Tell me more detail. What did Junko and Ishima say her purpose was? Kamishiro-kun asked with a more forceful voice. I read a lot of my memories from my notebook, also feeling very tense. Seems like Junko and Ishima has two purposes. The first is to crush Zero Kamakura until nothing is left. Do you know what that means? Keep going, he coldly prompted. I looked back down to my notebook. The second is, I read on ahead a little and was shocked by what I read. It was as if someone had killed me by pounding my spine with a hammer. I felt a sudden intense shock surge through my entire body. Big sis? What the hell? It says, kill your beloved darling, Yasuke Matsuda. As soon as I said it, my brain felt like it was having a nuclear meltdown. My surroundings began to rock from side to side. It wasn't an earthquake. I myself was one shaking. My head felt hot, unavoidably so. Only my body was cold. I was stricken by the less familiar feelings of fear and anger all at once. I was shaking violently for reasons I could not understand. Calm down, big sis. The inside of my head was numb with fear, and there was a voice echoing quietly. I was brought back to my senses to find Kamishiro-kun saying something to me. The kill thing has to be a bluff. There's no way a person could kill so lately. If she really planned to kill him, she wouldn't bother declaring it to you until long after murdering him. Am I right? That would be true. I know that, but I can't stop my body from shaking. You're right. There's no way she'd kill him. My voice was shaking so much I almost couldn't form a single word. In the meantime, it might be better for you to just not say anything until you calm down, he said lazily as he gulped down the bread in his hand. He said you should listening to my reasoning from now on. He announced sadly. Okay, let's get a move on then. Kamishiro-kun suddenly straightened his posture enthusiastically and started the reasoning part. Firstly, there's the problem of the advance notice of Yasuke Matsuda's death that you're so worried about. I suppose that's a bluff. I mean, there's no sense in telling others about a murder you have yet to commit. You may have been using it as a threat, but that's also unlikely. It's definitely a bluff. For now, that's our understanding of it. But we should be more wary of the girl's first purpose. Junko and Ishima's first purpose. That's certainly... No, even so, crushing a Zero Kamakura until there's nothing left is... Honestly, even I was a little surprised. Too much of a coincidence. I didn't think I'd hear Zero Kamakura's name. Who's that? Did you ask who's that person? Kamishiro-kun patted his chest with his hand. They're the culprit. The boy leaned forward over the table and spoke in an excited voice. I was surprised. Since Zero Kamakura is the culprit behind the worst largest incident in Hope Speed Academy's history. Eh? The culprit behind the worst largest incident in Hope Speed Academy's history? Speaking of, what is the worst largest incident in Hope Speed Academy history? I tilted my head to the side. Wait, I can tell by your reaction that you don't remember, Kamishiro huffed and pouted. It's boring to show of my deductions to other big sisters, but from now on, I should expect your reaction when I tell you my reasoning. Kamishiro-kun really did look bored as he exhaled deeply, then he began to talk again. But I told you the other day, you didn't remember then either, but you didn't even bother to ask me whether the worst largest incident in Hope Speed Academy's history really happened or not, did you? But now I can say that with more confidence. Kamishiro-kun clicked his fingers right in front of my eyes. The worst largest incident in Hope Speed Academy's history, Zero Kamakura is the culprit behind the incident. He wore a proud expression as he declared it. After a while of wearing that expression, he spoke again. That wasn't the reaction I was waiting for. He said his one-sided excuses as I tried to regain my composure. The reason as to why I believe this is the case is why I called this meeting. Kamishiro leaned over to my face and whispered in a small voice. Actually, I overheard a conversation between faculty members. Ooh. Overheard. Somehow that filled me with a sense of dread. The people having the conversation were on school campus, but they seemed to be very careful. They didn't mind spilling out all their complaints when in their own private rooms, so, like after a love affair, it was the #1 most stale atmosphere. Honestly, those guys from Office Romances are scary. You don't mean, oh, it's been a while since you last talked. Was it a while? No, I wasn't worried about that. More importantly, oh my, as expected, I think the wiretap I installed in the female teaching staff's room has been at least a little useful thus far. We should call this operation the elite female staffers set up with a dilemma. Gwahaha! I see, how nice. Understandably, my reaction ended up seeming pretty idiotic. In any case, the pieces of the puzzle are starting to come together. The worst largest incident in Hope Speed Academy's history is Zero Kamakura and Junko and Ishima. Once we find what the connection between them is, we'll be able to solve this case. So then it'll only take a little longer? Yeah, just a little. Kamishiro-kun's expression became shrouded. Putting it another way, we just need to take one more step. Here's my prediction. Once we connect one more piece, all the secrets will be revealed. If that happens, we'll understand soon afterwards. There's only one piece left? So, are you gonna talk to this Zero Kamakura person? They're the culprit, aren't they? Kamishiro-kun made a troubled face, tilting his head to the side of my question. I don't think I can. After all, no one knows where they are. Don't know where they are, so they're missing? Yeah, something like that. I wouldn't call it missing per se. Kamishiro-kun's face only became more and more troubled. His tone of voice became more serious. The human named Zero Kamakura isn't a member of the regular school, the preparatory school, or the teaching staff. In fact, I can't find any mention of that person's name anywhere in Hope Academy. No boys, no girls, no student graduated or presently attending. Huh? No mentions anywhere. It's like they're a ghost. Kinda like you! I think the most likely possibility is someone wiped out the record clean. What nasty business. I believe it would have been someone inside the school, but not someone within the inner workings of the school. It's too risky for them. So then there's an accomplice within the school? It's strange though, for as long as I've investigated, I haven't found a single student who knows who the person called Zero Kamakura is. Who began hiding them after the incident, so it would not be strange if there were students who know about them before the incident. However, I never thought there would be no sign of their existence from the very beginning. No way, they really are a ghost. Stop that, they're not anything like a ghost. Kamishiro-kun puffed out his cheeks. He looked really mad. Evidently, he disliked the turn the conversation took. Anyway, Kamishiro-kun cleared his throat slightly and readjusted his face to a more serious expression as he talked. No matter what the reason is, if we don't find out who Zero Kamakura is, we may have no choice but to give up. Give up? I suddenly raised my voice. Kamishiro-kun shook his finger in front of my face with another tisk tisk tisk. It's no good to jump to conclusions. As I was saying, we may have no choice but to give up coming at it from that perspective. If we can't figure it out from that perspective, it'll be better to come at it from a different perspective. It's stupid to always look at things from one point of view. For example, if you only ever look at a middle schooler's boobs, you'll never see her ass. What a great line. I see, thank goodness. My reasonable reaction turned to an idiotic one as I replied overly cheerfully. So what's the other perspective? Oh, Ryoko. I mean, at least she's, I don't know. I can't tell if she's really taking him seriously or not, which, I mean, I hope not, because, yeah, Anyway, Junko Nishima, of course. Junko Nishima, we always return to that girl's name. I felt shivers go down my spine. Thanks to the conversation I overheard from the female staff, I finally understand. In what way Junko Nishima is connected to the worst largest incident in Hope Academy's history. Kamishiro-kun shot a quick glance to me, checking my exceedingly weak reaction, and let out a large sigh. Looks like you don't remember, but other than being the person who started the rumor of the incident, it's a mystery as to what the other connection has to the worst largest incident in Hope Academy's history. But it's a mystery I finally cracked. It seems she's the girl who discovered the incident. Discovered it? But isn't that suspicious? Since this is a mystery novel, she's primarily a suspect, said Kamishiro-kun, nodding. But you know that, don't you? She's already been interrogated by the school. Interrogated? I told you, if you don't remember, check your notebook. Kamishiro-kun was yelling like he was throwing a huge temper tantrum. I quickly read through my notebook. I see, Junko Nishima started to spread rumors immediately following the incident, but, didn't you say she was interrogated? But if she was released just after that, then that means she can't be the culprit. Thanks to your awful conversation timing, I've come to a conclusion, Big Sis. Well, it's just as you put it. It seems like the interrogation was highly relentless. I was thinking it would have been impossible for her to escape. Kamishiro-kun suddenly stopped moving. What's wrong? I see, that's it. The boy's eyes widened. The corners of his mouth shook and trembled. I understand now, Big Sis, he shrieked excitedly. We completely overlooked the most important part of all. It really was best to ask you to help me out, Big Sis. You did great with the interactive mystery part. With uncontrollable excitement, he enthusiastically took another sweetbread out of the paper bag. As he bit into it, he started to craft a new sentence. By the way, it was a jam bun. Alright, thanks for letting me know. What I'm saying, Junko Nishima was interrogated by the school. That's where the last piece was hidden. What do you mean? Well, you see, the information I heard while eavesdropping, the interrogation of Junko Nishima was definitely incredibly thorough. There were things like polygraph testings and kinesics analysis. I don't know what that means. They started with cliche things like that. That's something called brain fingerprinting, which is slightly different to interrogating. But the thing with brain fingerprinting is, it seems to be noted as a more reliable lie detector than compared to the polygraph test. The point is, they were using tests that measured brain waves directly to see if she was lying. Understand? Not really, but it sounds incredible. Yeah, I get the gist of it. That's right, it is incredible. The corners of Kamishiro-kun's mouth twitched up into a smile. Not just that, but none of it would have been possible without an expert. An expert? For the interrogation, it seemed the school requested a certain student to assist them. Of course, I couldn't find who the student was, but I finally realized it would be difficult to utilize something such as brain fingerprinting without an expert in the field. They needed to collaborate with someone. If they knew, they would have no reason to imagine it. I'm saying there's someone at the school who's familiar with the intricacies of the brain. Eh? I wonder who? At that exact moment, an awful thought came wandering into my head. I didn't want it to come true, so I quickly tried to think of something else to distract me. It has nothing to... You know him, Big Sis. He's a super high school level neurologist. Yasuke Matsuda. Yep. I heard something that sounded a short fuse behind my ear. My brain was drawing a blank. With the death notice from earlier, I thought there was no mistaking there was a connection between Junko Enoshima and Yasuke Matsuda, but perhaps Matsuda knew Enoshima's weakness? Anyway, there must be a reason behind their connection, right? The school released Junko Enoshima from the interrogation way too easily. He continued to talk on with his eyes shining brightly. I found myself nodding in agreement to everything he said. After he had spoken for approximately an age and a day, I couldn't help but feel as though I had no energy remaining. Even so, Kamishiro-kun continued to talk. In contrast to his happy, talkative nature, I was looking depressed at best. The point being, I can't help but feel as though Yasuke Matsuda may have been the hidden last piece, you know? I mean, do you think Junko Enoshima has just been obsessively aiming at the good relationship between Matsuda and yourself? Hey, is it really how I think it is? Then don't you think that's the connection? I'm not really thinking anything. I don't know anything. I don't even know how the conversation turned to Matsuda-kun in the first place. I don't know about these overwhelming reasons. It's impossible that everything has a reason behind it. I stopped writing in my notebook because my self-defense is working. If something came and threatened my world, I'd be happier if I just forgot about it. Because if I forget about it, that means I have nothing to do with it, and it protects my world. So I'll look away from life's inconveniences and misfortunes. I'll chase after my world with all of the strength I carry. I'll cast away my feelings of self-hatred and guilt, because I always forget whether or not I turn away from the truth. And so, I have nothing to do with the things I forget. That's my self-defense. Yeah, I really do feel like we'll solve this soon. I suddenly realized as Kamishiro-kun continued to talk to himself, he was drawing nonsense shapes on top of the table. Say, big sis, it seems like the end to your issue is coming soon too. After I solve it, it'll be time for you to get ready to reward me. Polish that fine-ass body. I like to imagine that despite your cute face at night, you're really the Eberenbo Shogun, aren't you? Is that it? I bet you are. Whatever that means, I'm sure it's not good. After he finished his one-sided conversation, he got up from the chair, though it looked more like he was jumping up and down on it. Alright, we're on the home run now. After yelling out an encouraging shout, he turned around. I'm sure next time we meet, Big Sis, I will have solved this case. As he waved his hand, Kamishiro-kun departed from the table. However, after only walking a few steps, he stopped. Oh, right. He looked back with an expression that told me he had remembered something. If you don't want to be sitting around doing nothing, you could look into Yasuke Matsuda's small problem. Well, it doesn't matter how much you look into it. He won't be killed or anything, but I thought it would be good to mention it just in case. Still, I don't know what sort of secret connections Yasuke Matsuda and Junko Enoshima have, but it's better to be careful. Secret connection? Enoshima-san and Matsuda-kun have a secret connection? What the heck? I was attacked by a wave of anxiety. My chest tightened in pain. I felt scared of everything. I was just exhausted. Anyway, it's about time we reached the climax. You should get ready, big sis. Anything could happen. Kamishiro-kun finished his warning and turned away. This time he disappeared into the school cafeteria's crowd like a ghost. Thus, I was left alone in the school cafeteria. I was still feeling exhausted. For the time being, I decided on just concentrating on taking several deep breaths. There was no reason for it. I was simply stalling. Time. The time to solve the mystery. Time always relentlessly continued in a steady stream. That's why I spent this time taking in deep breaths. And I forgot. I forgot everything perfectly. Very soon I couldn't remember why I was taking in such deep breaths. How strange. Well, whatever. There was no more that I could forget. From that point on, I was bright, cheerful, and brimming with positivity. Without so much as a backward glance, I walked to the future filled with hope. I picked up my notebook from the surface of the table, and with plenty of momentum, I stood from my chair and... I felt lightheaded, or maybe a little different to that. I suddenly grabbed the table with my hand. I looked to where I was looking previously. The words of my notebook danced around the page, distorting themselves. At that moment, I shivered and felt like a horde of insects were crawling up my back. My knees buckled. I thought briefly about what happened and soon found I was sitting on the chair again. Getting dizzy. The inside of my head was stained with a metallic gray. My mind was completely blank. I'm tired. My eyelids became heavy. My face slackened, and the world circling me was quickly disappearing. The busy, noisy students around me were vanishing. The human shapes were surrounding me, were all melting together. It was as if I had been poisoned or hypnotized. I couldn't move a single finger. It was in complete silence. It was in complete stillness that I suddenly heard a voice. Ooh, that's not a good thing to hear. What an ominous laugh. It was strange yet sounded so familiar. What's this? Did you actually remember me? I'm happy. Despite your awful habit of forgetting things, you still remembered me. That's right. It's super high school level despair. Been a while. Ooh. Why can I remember? Why did I remember them? Even so, I remembered someone. Before, this voice told me something. Let's meet up again. Then I'll kill you properly. Suddenly, I was looking upwards. Before my eyes was a giant shadow standing over me. The shadow had a familiar face, but I couldn't recall any memory of the face. That familiar face stared intently at me, like it was trying to look past my skin. Their irises were colored by the darkness itself, and it was like their eyes were despairing, even in despair. As I looked into these eyes, an unexpected thought popped into my head. So I'll be killed by these eyes. Unfortunately, I can't actually kill you this time either, they whispered to me, like they were answering my thoughts. Once again, I can't kill you due to the circumstances. Since you still haven't tasted enough despair, you need to taste an even more despair-inducing despair, you see? Suddenly, all the lights surrounding me disappeared. At the same time, I noticed my eyelids were shut. The shadow seemed to cover my face completely. But if you don't want to taste that despair, then it means war. If you don't fight despair, you'll never feel hope again. Those are the last words I heard. After that, voices, sounds, everything had disappeared. As numbness took hold of my body, all my senses stopped working. I was completely still. I fell out of consciousness. I fell out of it silently. And that ends Chapter 5. Okay, so Junko has made a reappearance in front of Ryoko, and I'm sure things are not going to go well. I definitely think things are going to only get crazier from here, as, you know, crazier things happen, and I'm sure this novel isn't going to have a great ending, seeing as, you know, it's kind of, it's weird, because as someone that has now sort of seen the Danganronpa 3 anime and knows that a lot of it covers sort of the lead up into the first game. So this is just kind of adding more detail, but it's almost like it's telling the same story, just with more detail, and more, like, things to sort of fill in gaps and whatnot. So it's, I mean, I kind of feel that this isn't going to end super well, because we already know that this is before the first game, and at the start of the first game, things in the outside world are not great. So, yeah, I'm interested to see how the story goes moving forward. But that was Chapter 5, and hopefully y'all enjoyed. If so, please let me know, and I will see y'all in the next time. So until then, peace out.